Fast and Furious. They are a set of movies that, love or hate them, you gotta respect the longevity. They've been around since like 2001. They've been around for a long time. We just had the 10th movie come out. We got the 11th movie coming, which is said to be the final Fast and Furious movie we were supposed to get. 11 was supposed to be it. I mean, on a red carpet at one point, Vin Diesel teased there might be a third one because these things come in trilogies, and then the movie, not that it didn't do well, we'll talk about that in a second, but it almost lost the money to the point that it didn't sound like they were going to get another movie. Fast 11 supposed to be the end, supposed to tie it all up. Well, is it though? Is it? Because despite what you might think about the Fast and Furious movies, they do make money. They do make money. Even nowadays, when it seems like they're flops, they're not flops. They do make money. Let's take a look real quickly at this. Let's take a look at the track record for the last two movies. So we got Fast and Furious 9, The Fast Saga, which came out in 2021. So this is still like, we're talking, the pandemic is basically still going on. Not everyone could still go to the theaters at this point when Fast 9 came out. And Fast 9, The Fast Saga, was still able to make $726 million worldwide. That's nothing to scoff at. $700 million worldwide, that is nothing to scoff at. That's a pretty big movie. That's a pretty big hit. Along with that, you've got Fast 10, which came out last year. Did a little bit less than Fast 9, but still managed to do $704 million worldwide. So these movies, Fast and Furious, despite what you might think of their quality or how they've gone in the last couple movies, they still make money. Audiences still come out to Fast and Furious. The problem with Fast and Furious is not how much money they make, it's how much money they spend. Because if you look at Fast 10, their budget for this movie was $340 million. Not for Fast 10 and Fast 11, just Fast 10. Every time I look at this number, it just makes me go insane. $340 million for Fast 10. How do you expect that to make any money? That's why even at $704 million, this movie barely just made the studio money. Like, they this close to losing them money with that size of a budget, even with that side of a box office. So, Fast 11 was supposed to be the last one. We weren't supposed to see any more of these, but like I said, they still make money. They just need to spend less of it. This comes to us from Variety. It's the NBC Universal Studio chief Donna Langley recently gave an interview about the projects they're working on, the future of their studio, and she talked about Fast and Furious. And here's what she had to say about the future of Fast and Furious. She said this. Langley, who was interviewed by Variety's co-editor-in-chief, Raman Setudeh, sorry if I got that wrong, Raman, gave updates on some of Universal's biggest films and franchises. Though she insists that there's still gas in the tank of the Fast and Furious franchise, Langley suggested that Dom Toretto and his crew may be getting a tune-up after the 11th film in the series opens in 2026. Where we go next is a question, Langley said. We may pivot another time and bring it back to the streets of LA and maybe make it a more intimate story. Langley also implied that there could be a possible television or streaming spin-off series, because of course there can be. Every movie now has a cinematic universe that is expanded into a TV series. If you don't have a TV series, do you even have a respectable cinematic universe? So she goes on to say, Langley implied that there could possibly be television or streaming spin-off series. NBC Universal successfully launched shows based on hit movies like Pitch Perfect and Ted, which the Ted series, by the way, was awesome. Fast and Furious is a good one, she said. After Sedudi asked what other films could inspire similar programming, Fast and Furious is a good one, she said. So there's a couple things in here I find kind of interesting. First of all, the fact that she's saying we may pivot another time and bring it back to the streets of LA, maybe make it a more intimate story. Okay, that makes a little bit of sense. I mean, that lowers the budget. That definitely has to cut it down by more than half. And if you go back to the roots of what the franchise was known for, you probably still have the same amount of fan base coming in. You can definitely make money off of these movies if you just cut down their budget and sending them back to the streets of LA. That's a good way to do it. One of the things in here that really surprised me, though, is she's talking about doing this with Dom Toretto and his crew. after the 11th film. So, to be clear, and this is what she's saying, these are her words, at least in this article, the way that they're written. She's not saying we're going to take the 11th film back to basics. She's not saying we're going to take the 11th film and put it on the streets of LA with Dom Toretto and his crew. She's talking about after Fast 11. She's talking about doing more. She's talking about doing more Fast and Furious after Fast 11. And she's not just talking about doing more Fast and Furious after Fast 11. She's talking about doing more Fast and Furious with the same crew. I mean, Vin Diesel has said that this is supposed to be his last one. Michelle Rodriguez. This is supposed to be their final send-off. This Fast 11 is supposed to be the finale. That's how they've been marketing it. A 2-part finale. But this is kind of the first time where we're really hearing them say, no, this isn't the end of the story. We're going to do more. So, do I want to see more Fast and Furious? Yeah, kind of. I will say this. I will say I really disliked Fast 9. And even Fast 8 was on the fence for me. But I had fun with Fast 10. I think they overspent. Don't get me wrong, the budget is insane. It is way too crazy for that kind of movie. Even though it brought some fun action sequences, for me personally, I had fun with Fast 10. Is it a good movie? Not really. But there's probably like one really good movie in Fast and Furious, and I would say that's Fast 5. The rest of them, they're pretty crazy, pretty out there, pretty random. But if they were going to do another Fast and Furious and they were going to bring it back to the streets of LA and they were going to use the same crew and they were going to cut down the budget and just focus on exciting, fun car chases and car sequences where you don't need to spend $340 million to accomplish them, and make them practical, make them real, because that was the exciting part of Fast and Furious when it began, was the fact that it was practical, it was on the streets, they were real cars. It's very CGI heavy cars now. I mean, you had a car riding down on a dam after a big explosion in Fast 10. I laughed, I had a good time, but even I can admit, a little bit too far with the CGI cars there. So, I'm very intrigued to see where they go now, because I was totally ready for Fast and Furious 11 to come out, for me to go to that, be done with it, see a Fast and Furious, wouldn't want to be a type stuff. But the fact that they're talking about bringing this crew back, going back to basics, doing another one, like we said, they still make money. If you can get this kind of budget, if you can get a $700 million worldwide out of, let's say, even a $150 million budget, maybe you get close to that $200 million mark, but even I think that's a stretch. You bring this way down into the 100 millions, I think, after going this crazy with the budget. I think that she's right. Honestly, I think that there is still gas in the tank. I'd be curious to see where they go with it. Well, thank you very much for checking out this clip from our live show that we do every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time called Zach Milne Talks Live. If you like talking movies, if you like talking movie news, why don't you consider hitting that subscribe button before you leave? We do that on this channel all the time. But if you still need some time before you fully commit, you can check out the full video this clip is from right here, and you can check out another video over here. The subscribe button's right here.